Protocol and courtesy rules in the in Congress are something that are almost sacred. It's unusual to see this kind of interruption.
I think not only unusual, but unprecedented is what many longtime observers and many of the senators themselves are saying. Another popular word is pandemonium. Sure, there have been protesters before, objections from one side or another, but this has really taken it to a new level today. As you heard, interruptions during opening statements, numerous protesters actually in the room, standing up, shouting various slogans being led out by police. Republicans are describing it as mob rule. Democrats are saying this is the noise of democracy. Democratic Senator Patrick Leahy is objecting to this hearing even happening at this stage, saying in 44 years on Capitol Hill, he's seen many Supreme Court nominees come and go, but this is a new lack of transparency from the Trump administration and Republicans. And through it all, Brett Kavanaugh is sitting there, keeping his cool. We're waiting to hear from him and how he will handle all this. But it is a sign that after the bipartisan mood of Senator John McCain's funeral on Saturday, we're back to business as usual in the Trump era with lots of acrimony and polarization.
And that's not the only thing that's unprecedented, those interruptions. It's the buildup to this hearing, David. What with the Democrats had been demanding the release of documents that they could study to prepare for questioning. 42,000 pages released 15 hours before the opening gavel was hit.
That's right. Republicans are claiming that there's actually more record available on Kavanaugh than the previous 5 Supreme Court nominees, 300 opinions he's given on lower courts and other details. But that's partly because he's had a long career. And there are documents that Democrats counter that by saying it's not the number of documents that matters, it's the percentage. And for weeks now, they've been demanding access to hundreds of thousands of documents, including Kavanaugh's time working for the George W. Bush administration. And indeed, there was what they call a document dump on Monday night of 42,000. Just hours ahead of this hearing, impossible for anyone to read. So from the off today, they were saying this is absurd and that the hearing should be postponed. Even with those aside, there's plenty more material that has not been made public. And that's why Democrats are arguing this is a lack of transparency we've not seen before at these kinds of hearings. And it's indicative of a Trump administration that is breaking the rules, disobeying precedent, and just trying to ram this nomination through ahead of the November midterm elections, with, of course, the stakes incredibly high for women's reproductive rights, for racial minorities, for environmental protections, a whole range of issues that Kavanaugh is seen to threaten.
You say breaking the rules. What specifically, David? Explain.
It comes down to that issue of transparency that normally at this stage we would expect far more documentation to be available, particularly from Kavanaugh's time in the Bush White House. Republicans are just seen here as not playing by past rules. They of course deny that. They claim that. There's plenty of material available here for whoever wants to study it, and frankly, they hold the whip hand. They have a majority in the Senate. It's pretty hard for Democrats to stop this going through. So we're seeing a very vocal backlash and attempts to object. But at the end of the day, this seat is Brett Kavanaugh's to lose.
Brett Kavanaugh's to lose. David, we heard that remark when he was named about he's somebody who says he's against unseating a president, which, of course, his nomination happening in the midst of the Russia investigation. Beyond that one remark, what are we getting a whiff of that he might have to hide?
There is a particular focus on his attitude to, well, two things of interest. One, during his time in the Bush White House, mass surveillance of individuals, and also his attitude to torture of suspected terrorists. And remembering, of course, this was the aftermath of the 11th of September 2001 attacks. And it's a case of how much did he know and how complicit was he in what the Bush administration did? And crucially, did he mislead senators when he gave congressional testimony in 2006? And that's why there's a keen desire for these documents. And then, no less crucially, what is his attitude to executive power? He's given contradictory signals over time whether he believes a sitting president could be criminally liable, could be investigated, or should be above all of that. He was very zealous in pursuing Bill Clinton in the late 1990s when he was working for Kenneth Starr, but at other times he's made remarks that suggest he thinks a president should effectively be above the law. So, as you can imagine, with the Russia investigation ongoing with Donald Trump, this is seen as absolutely central to whether he should be confirmed to a Supreme Court that ultimately might be making a decision on the future of the Trump presidency.
All right, David Smith, it's day one, so take your vitamins. Many thanks for that live update from Washington.